In my dialogues, I wrote stories based on Socrates and his beliefs. In Crito, one of my dialogues, Socrates was going to die the next day, and Crito wanted Socrates to escape prison to live free of the government and be with his family. Crito was also worried about what people might think of him if Socrates did not escape. People might think that Crito valued money more than friendship if he could not pay to set Socrates free. But Socrates said, "But why, my dear Crito, should we care about the opinion of the many? Good men, and they are the only persons who are worth considering, will think of these things truly as they happen." In Crito, Socrates gave examples of justice, that the just thing should be thought of and come before any other. Crito wanted Socrates to escape, but realized that it was not right and did not align with what he should really do. Socrates' family should not come before doing the right thing. Talking about philosophy was my life and showed my beliefs. I expressed myself through my dialogues and lectures. Because of my beliefs and studies, I was asked to advise people in what they do and taught many students at my academy. My work is my soul on paper, and with this, I'll let you think about how you look at your life in the future.
He's forced.
My fellow colleagues, I am Aung San Suu Kyi, and I stand here to talk about the government that needs to change in Burma. The military runs the government, and people have been speaking up for a democratic government for a long time now. When I was 2, my father, the great war hero General Aung San, fought against the British to free Burma. He took a political route and signed a treaty in 1947 guaranteeing Burma's independence from Britain. A few months later, he was assassinated. This all happened when I was 2, and I barely knew my father. I continued on with my life and went to the University of London, and I studied there. But when my mother had a horrible stroke, I came back to Burma to care for her. But when I came back, the Prime Minister of Burma had just recently stepped down. I realized that this is my time to fight for what I thought and fought for a democratic government. I led protests to change the government and improve the system. My followers grew, and I knew that I was supporting something good. The peak of my protest was when I spoke at the Capitol in front of thousands of people. Unfortunately, on September 27th, 1988, the military brutally overthrew, and formed a new government and suppressed the protests that I was leading. Later, in 1988, I was thrown into house arrest because the government viewed me as, I quote, "someone that is likely to undermine the peace and stability of our community." I was in and out of house arrest for about 22 years. While there, I won many awards for the protests that I recently held, one of the awards being the Nobel Peace Prize. I was finally released in 2010, and the party that I recently formed, the NDL, or National League for Democracy, was allowed to register for future elections. I believe in a democratic government because for a long time Burma has been run by the military. A democratic government means that everybody has a say in what they think is right. With democracy comes human rights, and that's important. The military has done bad things to us previously, but I believe that we should not be angry towards them because we can't respond to anger with anger. We fought peacefully for what we believe, and we shouldn't fight against the military for what we think is right. When I was under house arrest for those 22 years, people didn't treat me badly. They treated me with respect, they met me with respect, and I respected them back. And that's why I believe that the citizens can come to respect and believe in the military that should support us and not be violent towards us. This is what would happen if we have a democratic government in Burma, and this is why I believe in democracy. This being said, I've recently announced that I'm going to run for presidency of Burma in 2015. Through all my struggles, I've never given up for what I fight for. I will wait for however long it has to be to set things straight and to set my country straight. And I urge you to go out there and fight for what you think is right. My father never stopped believing, and I don't plan to either. Thank you.
Joshua Michelle, and today I will be speaking on behalf of young women's rights. I'm speaking here in Mbosque particularly because I grew up here and feel for all of the women and girls here today. As a girl growing up in Mbosque, I excelled at school and found little support with pursuing my education. Typically, girls or young ladies in Mbosque are married off at an alarming young age, and after a girl no longer needs to continue her education. I was not married off, and I did want to continue my education, and I faced terrific inequality due to this. The only way that I was able to attend college was due to a church-based scholarship. Unfortunately, I was not the only other girl wanting the scholarship. Many other girls were not lucky enough to get it. It is unfortunate that many women, including myself, have to rely entirely upon the generosity of others to pursue something as fundamental as education, when a man would receive tremendous amount of support. I want for every young woman to have the same opportunities as every man from day one. It has been over 66 years since the adoption of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and we are still struggling to accept women equally. It is unacceptable that we are categorized as less than a man. Our integrity is still today being questioned, such as whether it is correct to have women elected into higher power. And it doesn't begin when you're an adult, it starts from the beginning. As a supporter of UNICEF, I know and understand that child marriage is wrong. Child marriage often subjects women in Mbosque to a life of abuse and inequality. Once married, a young lady loses her independence and ability to pursue her dreams. Why do her dreams matter less than his? Consequences of child marriage can result in less employment opportunities for her, less education opportunities for her, higher rate of domestic violence towards her, and higher social isolation rate towards her. Doesn't this seem alarming that all of these are consequences for her, but what did she do? Yet again, the question, why do her dreams matter less than his? I do not think that this is a coincidence. This image is depicted in the mind of every girl from day one. Without your help, these injustices will continue to destroy the lives, hopes, and dreams of tomorrow's young women. This is the reality of Mbosque. I urge you to take action. With a 66% rate of children marriages, we cannot stand by and watch another generation of women lose their potential to make a difference in the world. We can no longer afford to have the women's lives sacrificed. To all the women in the audience, don't underestimate yourself. You should be treated as an equal. Implementing laws that increase the penalties for child marriage and educating the youth of Mbosque about gender equality will help an educated and non-discriminatory generation to arise. By continuing to have negligence towards women, it is only making it harder to escape oppression. We need to change now.
Greetings, liberated citizens. My name is Shireen Abadi, and I'm here today to teach you of the importance of women's rights in Iran. But first, a little bit about myself. I was born in 1947 in the Iranian city of Hamadan, but only spent the first year of my life there. Most of my life was actually spent in the nearby city of Tehran, where I remember enjoying the childhood of peace, freedom, happiness, and innocence. As a girl, I was always treated as an equal by my family, and as I grew older, I did not grow into the typical Iranian woman's role. I did not become ever more obsessed with cooking, cleaning, and tending to the whims of men, nor did I start covering myself and settling into an arranged marriage at the age of 13. No, I took my way of life for granted, and just assumed that all Iranian women lived the same. How wrong I was. That was long ago. Since then, I've witnessed inequality firsthand and have become a defender and advocate of human rights, women's rights, I mean. I have become a single soul trying to chip away at the thick wall of inequality that is Islamic law, and I do so with a hammer of courage and a chisel of justice. In 1975, I became the first Iranian woman to serve as a judge and proudly maintained the position for 4 years. However, in 1979, to my dismay, I was kicked out due to an Islamic revolution which stated that women are too emotional to be judges. Still, determined to make a difference, I fought for 13 years to receive my lawyer's license, and as a lawyer, fought to bring justice back to Iranian women. One such case as a lawyer that I took on that led to just that was that of Aryan Galshani. She was a 9-year-old girl beaten to death by her father, her stepmother, and her 18-year-old stepbrother. A tragedy, to be sure. What was even worse was that this was all completely preventable. When Aryan's parents broke up, her father got custody over her by word of Islam, even though he was clearly unfit for the responsibility. I took on this case, and through my persistence managed to get the law changed, so that now in a custody struggle there will be investigation into which parent would be better fit to take care of the children, rather than just assuming it would be the man. My courage to stand up to Islamic law has earned me time in jail, death threats, and torture, but I persist because if I don't try to fight oppression for the oppressed, who will? Perhaps one of you will grow up to be the next Shirin Ebadi, and that will be who. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mary Wollstonecraft. Since the beginning of time, women have been treated as if they were inferior to men, which is most definitely not true. But we have been letting them do this and think of us this way, which must be stopped. Men are in no way better than women. They think they're smarter than us, but we just don't get as good education as them. We are in no way inferior to men. Men think it's weird or disgusting when a woman says she has sexual desires, when men are jerking off left and right. How dare men judge a woman for premarital sex when they are engaging in it as well? Women are in no way inferior to men. I was born on April 27, 1759 in London. I grew up as an average Catholic girl going to the average schools a woman would go to. My dad's extensive drinking caused us money troubles, and we had to move around a lot. My dad's drinking also made him beat my mom, and I would try to stop that, but it didn't seem to help him out. When no one seemed to care about this, I realized the role that women sadly accepted at the time. Going to the average schools that women went to, I was not very developed intellectually. After years of moving around and going to the average schools women went to, I met a man named Mr. Clare. At Mr. Clare's house is where I developed intellectually. I spent lots of time at his house talking with him. I learned how to express my opinions with intelligence, making them harder to disagree with. I had also been influenced by the sermon at the church I went to named Mr. Price. He talked about many things from the Bible, but never that women were inferior to men. But he did talk about how all of God's children were created equal, which didn't seem to be true. During this time, talking to Mr. Clare and going to church, I realized that not only women were being treated inferior, but we were doing nothing to stop it. This is when I changed from an average Catholic girl to an activist for women's rights. Being an activist for women's rights was not an easy task at the time. If you just got in front of a group and told them about women's rights, men would just start to laugh at you. So I started writing. I got my first book published in 1787, and my most popular book, A Vindication of Women's Rights, was published in 1792.